In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to export a very complex model's textures out of Mari and import them into Modo. Now, this particular model has several objects with it. I think there's a total of 5. But for this video, I'm just going to go ahead and focus in on the main hull area. Now, it consists of a diffuse, dirt, bump, roughness, and speck. So we'll go ahead and export all of those. Now, we're not going to use all of them within Modo, but I kind of wanted to show you the whole workflow and how I exported the textures. So all you have to do to export your textures is right click and make sure your channel is selected, right click, export flatten. Now you can export current channel flattened, which will be just a per channel basis, or you can do all channels at once. So let's go ahead and click all channels flattened. Make sure that you have your path set, whatever particular folder that texture is going to reside in. Make sure that you have your file format and the name in there, and make sure that you leave the $UDIM because that's going to help you within Modo or Maya or pretty much whatever program that you use. It'll give you an idea what patch that particular texture's on. Use template 4, I basically just leave it default. Small textures, I leave that enabled. That enables you to save on file size. If the texture does not fill a particular patch, it will not send that, the data that's just basically empty data. And I want to keep my alpha channel. Now this is going to take a minute due to the fact is the file size is about 3.5 gigabyte for this particular project. So I'm going to pause after I click export all patches, and I will open Modo up and get that ready. See you in a minute. Okay, one last thing before we jump over to Modo. Really wanted to talk about the UDIM number, actually the patch number that you will use within Modo when you set your materials up. So I went ahead and went to the UV mode. Let me zoom out here. As you see, each patch has a particular number. Now it starts at 1001 and goes 2, 3, 4, all the way to 10, and then it will start up here as 11, 12, 13, and so on. So if you keep that in mind when you're within Modo and how I set my materials up, it kind of coincides with the patch number and the image map that's going to be used. So let's go ahead and jump over to Modo. As a matter of fact, let me close this and jump to Modo. Okay, now this is the particular model that we're going to use here, or actually the portion of the model that we're going to use, that we've exported the textures out of Mari, saved them, and now we're ready to start materials. So the way I do it, to jump over to UV mode, and let me drag this over here. And if you've been within Modo for any amount of time, you've noticed that there's a little slowdown when you do select portions of a model within the UV grid area. So the way I kind of combat this is I bring everything down to just a face, just a normal face. I subdivide the model. Now the foundry, the crew of the foundry are aware of this and they will be fixing it. So keep this in mind. So the way I do this is I just kind of go to item mode, make sure everything's selected, go back to polygon mode, and then all I want to do is select the faces. Hit tab, and then as you see, all I have is faces. So let's go ahead and scoop this stuff over. Next thing is your UV grid. Now I need more patches here, so I hit 0, and then drag this over here, and then I want 10 on the U span or U high span, and then I want 3 on the low span. And as you see, the grid's kind of messed up. I think I messed it up, so we'll work with what we got. All right, so go polygon mode. All you do is right click, drag over that particular patch, double click, make sure everything is selected. If I double clicked and hit M, and since this is the hull portion, I want to go ahead and do hull and 1004, which that is the particular patch this portion of the model starts with. And And then we'll just continue here. 5. And then we'll go to 6. And as you see, it tends to not really take a long time to set your base materials up. And this is 8. All right, and this is the tools. And this is going to be 10011. We don't want that. All right, now this here, I want to go ahead and name it the turret since it is the main turret. And this is 1012. And the last bit we have here is going to be the main gun. And it's going to be 1013. And if you're new to Modo, all you have to do is select a portion of the geometry and hit M, and the material dialog will come up, as you noticed. All right, since we're done here, we can go ahead and jump into the render view. And as you see, we do not have anything. Okay, now the way I do my materials, and the only reason why I have this master material here is I've already kind of set it up in a previous scene. So I basically set one material up as a master and I instance the rest. Now the reason why I do that is if I want to adjust the specularity or the roughness or bump or whatever, I can adjust this master material and it will reflect on all other materials. So all you have to do is right click your material and create instance. So we'll go ahead and do a few of these so you can get the idea. Do is just drag it to that particular material. I delete the material that was made when you create the material group. Let's go ahead and instance this a couple more times. Let me see. And I know there's a script for doing all this stuff, but I tend to like to do it by hand, so I kind of know what and where everything's at. Delete, delete. Need one more. If I hit the right button. Okay. So we have all our materials groups made, and I'm going to start with the first one. So let's go ahead and import some image maps. So majority of the image maps that I used on this particular model are around 4K. There's some that are, there's a couple that are 2K. Majority of them is 4K, and I think there's 68 maps total in the whole model itself. And I'm quite surprised and quite pleased that Modo handles that quite well, and you know, we just look for the future for all this other new things that will be added. So let's go ahead and in order to add an image map, all you have to do is select your group, go to Add Layer, and then we want to load image. So since this is 1004, we'll go ahead and grab this diffuse. We'll go ahead and grab the spec. And now the bump. Okay, I'm gonna gamma correct this. I'm gonna correct this because I know exactly what where it was set at before. Leave that. Make sure you set your bump to bump. Do the same for your specular amount. And the reason why I do specular amount is on my master material I have matched specular. So zoom in here. Let that render. Alrighty. So I'm going to pause it for a second and I'll go ahead and import these other image maps, and then I will show you how adjusting the main master material uh, will basically adjust all the others. And I'll see you in a second. Okay, since we have all the materials set up now, and I really wanted to show you how easy it is to basically adjust your master, and it'll reflect all the other material groups. And let's say you don't want specular or match specular, you can do that. You can adjust your reflection rays on all of them. You can adjust your bump, if need be, or displacement, smoothing angle. You can adjust all that and it will reflect to the other material groups. Now, that being said, I think that about wraps this video up. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.